Many New Mexicans living near the border say crime is destroying their businesses and livelihood, and that drugs like fentanyl coming across the border from Mexico are out of control. Do you believe there is a border crisis, and what would you do to fix it? And if you could be specific, please.
Mark Ronchetti, you go first.
Yes, there is absolutely a border crisis, and this governor, the first thing she did when she came into office 4 years ago was remove the National Guard from the border. That opened up the free flow of fentanyl into the state of New Mexico, which kills one New Mexican a day here in the state. It is devastating. Joe Biden has overseen this as well over the past couple of years. This year alone, we've seen 2 million border arrests. That's the whole population of the state of New Mexico. Joe Biden and Michelle Lujan Grisham have an absolute border chaos policy. What else do we have in all of this? We also have a sanctuary state policy. What does that mean? Well, it means when someone commits a crime in one of our communities, the governor makes it so that that local law enforcement agency can't contact the feds to check on their immigration status so that we could get people that are committing violent crimes out of the state. This is leading to the chaos that we see across New Mexico. So what would we do? Number one, we're going to add the National Guard back to the border here to supplement our Border Patrol, which is 600 border agents short right now. We're also going to add a border strike force that's going to have 2 jobs, and it's going to be 150 agents from the Department of Public Safety, and what they're going to do is go after fentanyl and the human trafficking flow into the state of New Mexico. We're also going to work with states on either side of us, which we're not doing now for political reasons. That will change. We have to secure the border. We know where this fentanyl is coming from. It's coming from Mexico. This governor talked a good game 4 years ago when she said we need to secure the border. I heard her say it all the time. She's done nothing to secure the border, and I will.
Governor, your reply.
Well, this is just political theater, and it's not true. And when you say you're going to use the Department of Public Safety, what he's saying is he's going to take state police officers right out of Albuquerque and move them to Deming. His own primary opponent, a former brigadier general of the National Guard, said that his idea was laughable. He openly scoffed because you have to have a mission at the border that is federalized, and National Guard members cannot do that. When I went and visited the border early in my, after I was elected governor, what I found is members of the National Guard, literally on the Trump plan and Trump designation, were brushing horses and changing the oil in ATVs because they can't be on the border and do anything. You know what they're doing now? Members of the New Mexico National Guard are involved in drug intelligence, counter-surveillance, surveillance, and drug interdiction, which, by the way, helped lead to one of the largest fentanyl busts. That is smart and a mission-driven strategic deployment of the National Guard. What happens when you do what Mark Ronchetti is suggesting? You don't have the National Guard for fires, for floods, for any other emergency in the state. And what's happening in Texas right now is billions of dollars, let me repeat, billions of dollars for Trump political theater, where we have some of the highest suicide rates for National Guard men and women because they can't do anything in that regard. A strike force isn't what we need to stay the course. And by the way, fentanyl gets mailed in from China as well as at the border.
I'd like to step in here.
Go ahead. Your rebuttal, first rebuttal, Mark. Go
Well,
ahead.
first and foremost, I think you look at a governor right now who makes a lot of excuses right there. That was a blizzard of excuses for not caring about what happens at the border. Let's go back to that fentanyl bust in the South Valley where there were 1 million fentanyl pills that were taken in by the FBI. It was the biggest FBI bust in their history. And when the Sureños drug cartel was asked, why are you in New Mexico? You're usually in California and Mexico. You know what they said? They said, because it's easy to be us here. She's created a soft on crime environment, an open border, and we're all paying for it with more dangerous streets. Her answer to this whole problem
Time's up, Mark.
shows how out of touch she truly is.